Alright. Hey guys, this is Andrew here, or Rollguard. I'm just gonna go through my experience at Sydney Regionals 2026. This tournament was on February 7th to 8th, and I ended up with a placement of 65th out of about 278, or on Limitless, and on RK9 it's about 313 players. So it's probably closer to this number because some people drop out of the tournament once they don't get a good result. So it's about like 275 to 300 players. I just wanted to record my thoughts over that day. It's been about a week now, and just for like remembrance sake, because I'm gonna forget a lot of the stuff, and I just think it's cool to track this down. So let's first break it down. The team I brought to Sydney Regionals. This is in the Regulation F format, so you can't bring any restricteds like broken legendaries like Caloric Shadow, which I had brought in my Brisbane tournament, which I did not record a video on, but that's okay. So to break down the team, team I used was from MDB, or Michael the Best, I believe. He used this team, and it's also got popularized in Japan, I believe, and it got 2 placements in the top 8 in a Victory Road tournament previously for Reg F. These are one of the earliest tournaments, so I think the meta hadn't been like really set yet, but I think this was definitely a strong team. Other popular players like Justin Tang also used Landorus T in their teams, and after playing with a few teams, I played with Raging Bolt Balance, which I have a lot of experience with in Reg G, because I essentially rocked the same team, but just using Caloric Shadow. But I figured I had time, and there was enough time to pivot to a different team, so I tried a whole range of teams. Here's some of them here, like Smeagol Hyper Offense, the Raging Bolt Balance, Elizabeth's Gouging Galar team. And so yeah, I ended up trying out MDB's team. At least I took his spreads anyways from this video, and having the 6-hour VOD of his run, which he did really well in, was really helpful in seeing how he handled matchups within the Regulation F format. And I was able to basically take quick notes, and I watched this entire 6-hour VOD and wrote down my game plans into some of the common teams. So you can see here, here's my matchup into Iron Crown Reggie Drago teams with, it's like, well, it was, and hard Trick Room teams. Some of the Iron Crown Reggie Drago teams were actually quite fast. Dondozo, Fluttermane, Raging Bolt Balance, Lando, I, and Chien, Raging Bolt Balance, Articuno, Ninetales Snow Team, etc. So there's a lot of teams I prepared for, or at least common leads that I prepared for in coming into Sydney Regionals. I met up with some couple mates, and we did some Pokemon training sessions, and those were really helpful in preparation for this regionals as well. And I'll get to how they were helpful later on. So I just ended up sending on the MDB team, exact same spread as the MDB pace. So I can get the MDB pace up quickly here. I think there are certain calcs. I didn't remember too much of them, but the ones that were useful or like good to know is that, like, one thing that was really nice with this team, I'd say, is that this Urshifu is Jolly rather than Adamant. So that means you're outspeeding a lot of opposing Urshifus who mainly were going Adamant. And the reason we can do that is because it's got the Life Orb, so it's still maintaining consistent good damage while also outspeeding attack boosting nature Urshifus. This also lets you outspeed Landorus I, Incarnate, if it has an attack boosting nature. So that was really useful to know as well. Anything else in particular this team? This Tornadus was quite fast, so it lets me ensure I outspeed Urshifus and stuff like that. However, I believe the trade-off was that it did not survive Surging Strike's Water Terror from some Urshifus, so that was kind of a struggle as well. Yeah, and I think it did influence some of my matchups in the regionals as well. But yeah, that's the team. The general idea of the team that I brought to Sydney Regionals is you have Tornadus for speed control, and you also have the Choice Band Landers Therian. So one of the common duos is often I brought a lot into this regionals was the Tornadus and Landers Therian. And you can easily like do a Bleak Wind Storm and Earthquake spam or any other move like Rock Slide, which hits both targets. And you can also cover for switch-ins. So anything that like grass types, for example, that might not want to take any of the ground moves from Landorus, the Bleak Windstorm will be super effective, and that really popped up in a lot of scenarios, especially balance. So this is also often a common lead. So you can do Tornadus Landorus. And other modes are, for example, Urshifu plus Chien Pao. You have the sort of ruin physical defense drop. So your surging strikes are going to be doing a lot of damage. And I believe there are certain calcs, for example, like Sword of Ruin with close combat on Urshifu with Life Orb will kill other Urshifu. Other modes can include having Amogus +1. So often against opposing Urshifu, I lead Amogus in the back with Rocky Helmet. I can have it as a potential switch-in if they ever bring in their Urshifu, and they'll take a lot of damage. And I specifically also really like the Dragon Terror on Golden Go, which is super good into balance, specifically ones that have Fire Ogerpon. And that was really good in walling them, and then you just set up a nasty plot and then just go from there. It's pretty strong. Other leads, you know, could do like Tornadus Urshifu, that was good. And you can do Tornadus Golden Go. This team is really, really flexible IMO, and that was like one of the big reasons I liked it. Not only is it like offensive, but there are some like defensive pivots with the Amogus. This can be good in like Trick Room matchups. And I just think this team was like super flexible while also being like having strong offense, which I think is really important for a team. You can't be super passive, otherwise you're going to be susceptible to a lot of crits, a lot of status moves, that kind of thing. I just generally think that hyper, or at least having good offense into opposing teams, is really important. So that's the general gist of the team, and I'll just go over some of my matches. So, we played 8 rounds of Swiss, I believe. To get into day 2, we needed to get a record of 6-2. This is different from the Brisbane regionals I first did, where I made day 2 with a 5-2 record. But here I got 5-2, but I still needed to win 1 more, which I ended up losing. Because I think there was just a lot more players. And I think bigger tournaments tend to be, you have to get 6-2 on the first day to make day 2. But I still had a great time in the tournament, and I think got the heart pumping. A lot of, you had to like lock in a lot. Really fun, but also pretty stressful or intense. Well, let's go through the first game. So, yeah, of course I didn't record any of it, but I do have some of my notes, and I'll also mainly just be using my memory, since I think there are a lot of detailed notes, stuff like damage calcs, turns I could have played differently, but I think I'll just go through a bit of a higher level overview, and I'll reference my notes when needed. So round 1, I'm versing Steven. He's running the classic Articuno Snow team. This has choice specs Articuno, as well as Alolan Ninetales with Light Clay to have set up the Aurora Veil for Aurora Veil, setting up the same effects as Reflect and Light Screen in one move. So this team pretty strong, but I did practice against this team and I had a fairly solid game plan. A lot of the game plans actually was from watching the VODs from MDB, and then I can just adjust accordingly there. So this was one of them here, and you can see I even wrote it down in my document here. Oh, and just a quick thing, these are the amount of games I played. I played around, let's see, I played around 54 games with this team. Mix of BO1 and BO3. BO1 I realize is like really nice to handle like a wide variety of teams, and handling less so more about like technicality plays, but general game plans and testing how effective those are. And then near towards the tournament, I feel like I had enough of best of ones, and then I need to get into the best of threes, which is what these were over here. And a lot of the best of threes I also did in the Pokemon training sessions with mates, as we can see over here. So I'd say like a good amount of Pokemon practice was put into this. I made like consistent practice each week, and I think this was really useful in getting my familiarity with the team. I'll go over it later, but I do think I was still lacking in hindsight certain knowing the team better. But as we can see here in the game plans, I have the Articuno Ninetales Snow team here. And one of the leads here is Urshifu plus Tornadus. I think it was two similar teams, and which is where I get these two leads from. MDB, he chose not to lead the Urshifu Tornadus when they had the Water Ogerpon and Raging Bolt. So like this is like variations here. The game plan here is pretty simple for Urshifu Tornadus is the set up the Rain Dance, so you prevent Aurora Veil from being set up, and the Rain Dance should help deal damage with Surging Strikes, and also prevent Blizzard from being set up. So I think this game, I was surprised my opponent never led the Articuno Alola Ninetales lead, but if he led it, it would have been bad for him. I just was not expecting that, so it was good of my opponent to do that. I believe in game 1 I had 2 guaranteed wins, but I missed both, or I think I wasn't thinking through my turns, and I ended up losing game 1, I think. And then game 2, game 3, I needed to lock back in. Game 3, I bought the Golden Go, which I realized was so good. His Alola Ninetales was destroying my team with the fairy moves, with Moonblast, because it's good into my Urshifu and other mons too, like Chienpao. So I really need to bring the Golden Go, and I brought that, and that was good. So, nearly lost this one. I think there was some questionable plays from his end, but I think I definitely had quite good control over this game, especially after a bit of the fumble game 1. Alright. Moving on to game 2, I'm versing Ryan. I talked a bit with this opponent. This person came from Melbourne. Apparently they attend the Melbourne locals. I think this set that I played with Ryan was some of the higher level sets. He's running the Toronto Regionals winning team. For context, there's only been 1 Regionals, or maybe it was 2, but I think this is 1 regionals, official regionals, and this was the winning team by Carey. This is Roaring Moon balance. You got the Flying Terror Incineroar with Rocky Helmet, Roaring Moon, and the Choice Specs Golden Go Fairy Tail with Dazzling Gleam. So yeah, this opponent, I think I played really well for this set. I'm surprised they didn't do too well in this tournament. They were actually playing quite high level as well. But all 3 games we led the same thing. So they led their Roaring Moon and Golden Go, which I've also got in practice against the Toronto Regionals team here. I had Chienpao Urshifu here, but specifically when we played it in practice against one of my mates, Simon, the Chienpao Urshifu lead really struggled against the Roaring Moon Golden Go lead, and I heard that was pretty common to be run with this team, so I needed a way into this, and the answer I found after practice was the Chienpao plus Amoonguss lead here. And so that's like another example where the hard work preparation came into practice, and that it really popped off. So we led the same 3 things, all 3 games. What I remember from it is, let me have a look at my notes. So yeah, I think they were mainly, yeah, so both game 1 and game 2, they fairy terrored their Golden Go, and then the first game they protected their Roaring Moon. It was, yeah, Golden Go plus Roaring Moon versus my Chien-Pao plus Amoonguss. And why do I think this is a good lead into theirs is because you threaten Sucker Punch onto Golden Go, and so they're kind of threatened to Fairy Terror. And if they Fairy Terror, well, you can start Sludge Bombing with Amoonguss. And also, what I did game 1 and game 2 was to double protect, scout out if they what they were going to lock into with Golden Go and whether they were going to burn Terra. The Chien-Pao also threatens the Roaring Moon with an Ice Spinner one-shot, so they had to watch out for that too. So I think it's just a really advantageous lead, and it won't die to a Make It Rain or Dazzling Gleam because it has the Focus Sash. So, like, a lot of good things going for me, I can scout out. The best thing they can do there is attack plus Tailwind. Unless they really double to protect, they can switch out the Golden Go. But I thought that wouldn't really be happening. There's a lot that they had to cover for. There could have been happening game 2, but game 1, I think the double attack's pretty safe. So, I ended up winning game 1 set after forcing out his Fairy Terror. He got game 2. I think my notes here was that I played pretty well, but I think I screwed up my Terror usage, and then game 2 I got a Bleak Wind and a Rock Slide miss, so I ended up losing the game 2, but I think I was pretty in control for a lot of it. So I ended up losing game 2, and then game 3, this is where my experience from past Pokemon games come in. So I think at the higher level, a lot of Pokemon players do some conditioning. So I took this into account here, and I mentioned it in my set with Ryan, where game 1 and game 2, I double protected both of my Mons, right? So I'd say game 3, he's really wary of me double protecting. He could do a lot of things like switch out, or he could, just like punish it. But I ended up switching up my play completely, conditioning him into thinking I'd double protect game 3, and I go for the Sucker Punch, which one-shots Golden Go, and I tested this in testing with the Toronto Regionals team. The EVs aren't there, but I think there's a good chance for Golden Go to be killed by Sucker Punch, and they end up not Fairy Tearing their Golden Go, so I get the one-shot, and I also Sludge Bomb into the Golden Go slot too, which if it didn't Terra, wouldn't have done any damage. But I actually think, in hindsight, this is like a really good pin and is only punished by a switch out. So if they do Fairy Terror, then my Sucker Punch plus Sludge Bomb gets the KO onto Golden Go, and if they don't Terror, my Sucker Punch goes into Golden Go and the Sludge Bomb gets redirected into Roaring Moon. So it's a really good pin there. I'm glad I really found that play, and I really think I played this set really well. And after getting the Golden Go pretty much for free, and they burned their Poison Terror on Roaring Moon, I'd say that game 3 was pretty sealed. So I'd say I played... Oh, he played against Wei Lin first game. I didn't know that. So... game 1's... Round 1 and round 2. Round 1, I didn't play super well, but I was able to go through the game plan and win that. Round 2, I think I played pretty well. And even with bad RNG, was still able to win the set. Okay. Game 3 was against another Andrew. I think he seemed like he was in charge of like the VGC 02 podcast or something. He was wearing a shirt related to that. Having a look at this matchup, there wasn't too much. I remember winning this set 2-0. And I honestly think this team really struggles into my team in hindsight. I think I ended up leading Landorus plus Tornadus for both games in this set. And I think he went for Taunt into my Tornadus expecting a Tailwind, and he was faster. But I just think the combination of Tornadus plus Landorus, his team does not really handle it well. Like, if it's Tornadus, then I can like do Rock Slides into it if I want. And if it's any other of the mons, like Archaludon, Amoonguss, Raging Bolt, Hearthflame, Urshifu, all 5 of these mons are going to take neutral damage or super effective from Earthquake or Ground Boost from Landorus. And if he brings Hearthflame or Amoonguss in the lead, then I have Tornadus there. So I think bringing Tornadus for him was good in the lead, but yeah, pretty tough for him. And even if he leads Urshifu Tornadus, like, I think it's fine if my Landorus dies and I get Bleak Wind into both, because I can bring in Amoonguss later. I think overall the set, I think, yeah, there were a lot of, I think, questionable players. I didn't really understand a lot of the opponent's plays in this set. Yeah, I ended up winning 2-0, and I think it was a really tough matchup for this player. Okay, next. This is my first loss of the tournament against Owen. He's playing a Raging Ball balanced team, but instead of something like Fluttermane, he brought in the Farigiraf. I think it's a decent meta call. The idea is that you're going to be beating out the other fake out users who are in the Raging Ball balance. So I think pretty smart meta call, but I'm surprised this play didn't do too well in the regionals. But he was a pretty good player, I will say. These sets were interesting. The game 1, I ended up being like not tilted, but it was pretty bad RNG in my favor, and I still ended up somehow winning the first game. He teared his Ivy Cudgel. I had set up Rain Dance, and he had got 2 crits with his Ivy Cudgel, killing 2 of my mons, and like both crits mattered, and I still ended up winning somehow. I don't know. I think it was the Dragon Terra Golden Go really popping off there. So game 1 I won, and I think I really wasn't looking at the team sheet properly here, because this Raging Bolt, most Raging Bolts running Thunderclap, Dragon Pulse, Calm Mind, Protect. And this one's running Thunderbolt, not Thunderclap. And I didn't realize this until like game 2, I think, in my notes. And I thought it'd be Thunderclap. And my game plan is that it gets walled by Fairy Terra Mungus. But that was not the case because it's Thunderbolt. So yeah. I did not realize that, and I got kind of wrecked because of it. And I think if I knew that, I would have played things differently. I still think it's a strong Terra, but yeah, he ended up going for the Trick Room mode game 2, and that actually worked up decently. I brought the Amoonguss, which was actually pretty nice. And I think I was playing too passively in Trick Room, so I ended up losing the game 2. And the game 3 was really tragic. He switched it up with Raging Bolt and Incineroar, a very common lead, and I was very prepared for it. I brought the Tornadus and Landorus. I think that's like the best lead I could probably lead into that. And he went for Parting Shot into my Landorus, and then he Thunderbolted the Tornadus. Like, so ballsy. I literally had the threat of Bleak Wind Earthquake. And honestly, in hindsight, I probably should have gone for that. They could have switched out the Incineroar into Rillaboom, which is what I was expecting. So I didn't go for that. I think I went for the Stomping Tantrum instead. But after losing Tornadus, that was kind of sucky because I lost speed control. And the flying type damage is just so good into Urshifu, Rillaboom, and Hearthflame. So, yeah, in hindsight, I could have protected Tornadus and Earthquaked, or I could have just gone, or Protect plus Stomping Tantrum, but yeah, I can't believe he just I could have Earthquake and got a double KO, like, that was amazing to me, and so he ended up taking that game 3. I had lost too much of a lead off the game 1 after losing Tornadus, so well played to him. That was my first loss. Oh, he went on a lose streak, damn. Oh, he versed 2 really tough players, Karan and Dimitri. I think these guys are super cracked. Yeah. Wow. All the players he versed are, like, mega cracked. Oh, man. That is tough. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I can see why the record was hard. You've got so many good players. Okay, my round 5 was... This guy was a 17-year-old from Singapore. I think he had a lot of experience in the seniors, but this was his first Masters tournament. So respect coming all the way from Singapore to do Sydney Regionals. He did really well in this tournament, by the way. He managed to make day 2, and I was one of his only losses out of the 3. Quick summary for this matchup. He led Chi Yu plus Tornadus, and I had led my Tornadus plus Urshifu. This team is hyper offense, like just damage, and so it can be pretty volatile. And especially if they get the leads right, they're really good off. But if they get the leads wrong, like it's pretty tough. So I think it's good to not get super fatigued. Wow, they went 20th place. I think it's good if not getting like super fatigued. This sharp big 20s with Bleakwind was so good for them though. Anyways, going through the games, game 1 I like lost after like 2 turns. It was insane. They never set up the sunny day with their Chi Yu. So I was like mega screwed. I think they just went for Heat Wave Bleakwind or something like that, and I was like, or I think Tailwind plus something. I think Heat Wave plus Bleakwind was it. And then I was like mega screwed. So I think my game plan was flawed because I realized I just kept spamming Rain Dance, but like it didn't really do much for me. Anticipating them to do Sunny Day, and setting up Rain Dance also just let them do a bunch of Bleakwind Storms. So that was not the play game 1. And I noticed in my notes, like, this guy just likes to like full on attack. And I mean, fair enough, this is like hyper offense, right? So game 2, I needed to switch up. So I brought in my Tornadus and my Landorus, and they led their Chi Yu plus Tornadus. So they ended up not tailwinding. So they get punished pretty badly for it because I went for, I believe, Tailwind plus Rock Slide. The Rock Slide, because of the Tailwind, I get the speed boost, dynamic speed boost, and it one-shots his Chi Yu. He did not Terra the Chi Yu, he Terra the Tornadus. The Rock Slide just threatens both mons so easily, and I got speed control. He lost his Chi Yu, and I think from there I just spam like Bleakwind Rock Slide and just wreck his entire team. It's pretty volatile. Now, game 3, it's Tornadus versus Landorus Therian versus his Dark Urshifu plus Tornadus. Now, again, this is why watching the VODs was so useful. He plays against Choice Band Dark Urshifu in the VODs. And I think, yeah, the Landorus Therian I have should live a Choice Band Wicked Blow. This one is Focus Sash. So he went for Dark Terror, which is similar to Choice Band Boost, and Wicked Blow into my Landorus with his Tailwind, and it survives. And that was mega clutch because I was able to... What did I go for here? I think I went for... I'm not sure what I went for, but I think that was like the key moment there because I was able to... I think I must have went for like Bleakwind plus Rock Slide, which would break the Sash and also kill Tornadus. And then I believe we get closer to the end game. It's like my Cham Power plus another mon, maybe Landorus, and against his Flutter Mane, which was like dealing mega damage. But I realized I had a out. So I think the end game was Landorus Therian and his Flutter Mane 1v2. He knocked out 2 of my mons, and I knew I could let him get the double knockout because I still had my Terror. And so I had my Urshifu against his Flutter Mane and Landorus Therian. And my Urshifu, I looked at his team sheet. His Flutter Mane only has Fairy and Ice moves. And I also learned from watching the MTV VODs and watching a video on speed tiers that Urshifu naturally, its base speed outspeeds, I think it's base speed 97, which outspeeds Landorus Therian, which has a base speed around the 90s. So I knew my Urshifu would be outspeeding his Landorus Therian, and my Poison Terror plus Surging Strikes, it was locked into Rock Slide, by the way, just kills his Landorus Therian, and then he has no way to beat my Urshifu with Dazzling Gleam. I think if he went for Icy Wind, he might have had a better chance into winning. He'd have to hit both the Icy Wind and the Rock Slides, and I think I wouldn't, it'd be close. But I think since he clicked Moonblast, then I had a guaranteed win there. So yeah, I think I played pretty well in this matchup, and I was able to adapt to what I learned from game 1 and his overall approach. So I think this game was played really well too. But congrats on that guy, young guy, and did really well in this tournament. Next person I played, now this is probably out of all the people I played, the most notable player with like notable performances. This player came from Japan, did not speak any English. And I have a lot of struggle into Japanese players. I think I'm like 0-2. Last guy versus was Yuma, and yeah, that was not good. But this is Arai. He was the last Brisbane Regionals champion. I actually think there isn't much to say about this matchup, because yeah, I lost 0-2 in this. Like it was like pretty quick. And I think game 1, he read... I had Protect on like a lot of my mons, and he just read that I wouldn't Protect like 3 or 4 times throughout him setting up Trick Room. He had led Porygon Incineroar, and it was just mega tough from there. And then game 2, I brought... So game 1, I brought the Landorus and the Tornadus against his Porygon Incineroar. Really bad because his Ice Beam just destroys me, and he can easily set up the Trick Room. And then I realized, I think Urshifu Chien-Pao could be really good against that lead. And then he switches it up game 2, brings the perfect lead with Tornadus and Wellspring against my Urshifu and Chien-Pao. And then I was like, fuck, this is mega doomed off the leads. And I just lose game 2 off the spot right there. It's pretty unwinnable. So I just got destroyed. Usually when I play games, I can like see, there's like an analogy, I can like see the light or see some sort of path out of it. But when I play this guy, it was completely dark. Like lights were shut off. Like there was no way to like win. I could see. And afterwards, I asked him about the set. He had to like boot up his Japanese Google Translate. And after like failing to translate my voice after like 3 times, I just type what I need to say, like how do I win? And he's like, he was basically saying I should have brought my Chien-Pao and Urshifu against the Incineroar Porygon lead, and then against my Tornadus Wellspring lead, I should have brought Tornadus +1. And like, yeah, I basically flipped the order around. I'm surprised he didn't do the best. 27th place is still pretty good. But yeah, this guy is like, out of all the players I had versed, like probably one of the more notable players. Last Brisbane Regionals champion. But super cracked. I think also the way he played Trick Room was surprising. Like most players like are usually they'll play around Protect and then like hit spread out their damage. But like this player like just doubled both slots, and then I wasn't able to move because of that. So yeah, kinda tough. Okay, my next matchup. I think at this point, if we look back, I'm like 4-2, so this is round 7. I versed this player. I think they were quite tilted. They didn't seem like they were having a good time, and we had some connection issues, and I think they thought I was stalling, but I just was not. Yeah, so this matchup was Tornadus versus my Tornadus plus Landorus Therian versus his Choice Band Urshifu and Tornadus. It's Choice Band Water Urshifu. And I believe I bought a Mugus here. Yeah, it's the Urshifu, and that was really good in this matchup. It looks like it went to 3 games. I won the first game and I lost the second game, and then I end up winning the game 3. I think game 2 he got some good RNG, and then game 3 he ended up missing some pretty critical bleak wins, and made me I could win that 3rd game. Some of the RNG that went really bad for me game 2 was like getting a 1-turn sleep. That was pretty bad, and he got a double Dazzling Gleam crit. Plus, I missed my Bleak Wind all in the same turn. I cannot believe that. Now, luckily, I positioned it such that I had like a Steel Terror Landorus and like my Golden Go, so the Dazzling Gleam crits weren't as strong. But man, that was pretty. It did matter, and that unluckiness made me lose the game too. And then I ended up. So I'd say the RNG was pretty even this set. And so I was able to win the set 2-1. And I still need to pay attention because I think I did not find out his Flutter Mane was... Yeah, I wrote it down. I did not find his Flutter Mane was like special attack booster. Most Flutter Manes were running speed booster. This one was special attack booster, and that's why it was doing so much damage. And I did not realize that, I think, until like game... Yeah, I realized it, I think, game 3? Also, I was surprised because my Champ Power is max speed. So unless he was speed boosting nature, our Flutterman and Champu might have been Champ Power might have been speed time. But, yeah. Overall, I think I played decent in this set. And I brought the right mons, I think. So, pretty good there. Oh, reverse Jack. Okay. And finally, my last game. This was super winnable. Oh, man. I've played against this matchup too. But this is Choice Band Urshifu. A lot of offense here with Whimsicott variation instead of Tornadus. I ended up... We both led the same thing, both game 1 and game 2. I led my Landorus plus Tornadus, and he led his Urshifu plus Whimsicott. I think he was like turfing me after that, like most play. He knew to target the Tornadus, which is actually really smart on his play. And I basically like lost on the spot just from his Urshifu with Surging Strikes into Tornadus both times. He did the same play. I could not believe that same play, both game 1 and game 2. But I think solid. He had a solid game plan, and in hindsight, I could have done a lot of things that would have been better. So yeah, I ended up going for like Rock Slide. Yeah, I think I went for Rock Slide plus Bleak Wind, and I never end up Tailwinding, and I think he ends up Tailwinding to make sure he outspeeds like both times, which I think is a fair, it's a good play. So I think my mistake game 1, I didn't bring the Amoonguss because I was afraid of Psychic Terrain stuff. He never brought the Indeedee or the Iron Crown. He brought these left 4 mons here: Fluttermane, Water Urshifu, Fire Ogerpon, and Whimsicott, and I just got wrecked. I think the fairy coverage, my team's pretty weak to fairy, and I just got pretty overwhelmed there. So yeah, I think in hindsight, maybe a better lead would have been Tornadus plus Amoonguss, because he just led Urshifu plus Whimsicott, and then his Urshifu just gets wrecked, and Whimsicott doesn't deal really well into Amoonguss. So I could have done that. It's bad into Indeedee plus Iron Crown though, so it's like kind of tough. I think I also could have brought maybe Landorus plus Amoonguss, but I definitely need to bring Amoonguss in the front. That was my mistake in both of the games. I brought Amoonguss in the back, and then I got the read wrong in that he would do a different move, and I switched Amoonguss not in the correct Tornadus slot, and I just didn't bring it game 1, so I just got mega screwed there. I should have realized that it would have been good, and so I lost. So well played to my opponent. and they ended up doing pretty well. I think that was their first day 2 of the tournament. They started at a similar time as me. Apparently they've been to 9 regionals. We talked after. They also go to Sydney locals, like the one at UTS. So congrats to them, and that was their first day 2. And I really think I was quite fatigued at this point when I was playing this. And in hindsight, it was mostly a game plan issue, more than anything. So tough. I barely missed the day 2, but I'd say overall, really good matches, and I think there were like some really key, really good plays here as well as some fatigue here and there. But yeah, I think overall the Sydney regionals I did pretty well. I did probably the best out of the mates that went with me. And I'm pretty happy with my performance, and I think it was really fun time overall. And I think the preparation I did was also super helpful, and I definitely need to make sure I'll have game plans and VGC, a lot of like practices. I'd say minimum is probably 50 games with the team before going into regionals on Showdown. So I think most players do a lot more, but I think I was busy with a lot of other things in my life. So I was able to just squeeze in as much as I could here. But I think 50 is a bare minimum of games, and that was about what I could do. I think most players probably want to go for like 100, 150, but I also did like analysis on a lot of these games, so there's that. Alright. Thanks to whoever is listening. I'm just keeping track of this because I'll probably forget. That was my overall experience of Sydney Regional Championships of Pokemon VGC. Thank you guys for listening, and hopefully I'll be able to make more of these soon. I'm hoping to go with Dylan to Melbourne Regionals if I am free, and maybe I'll be able to make another video going over my experience there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later.